We have an Illia Topuria problem. Dude, after watching every single one of his professional fights, this dude is special. He's the champion, yes, I know. But I firmly believe that this guy could go up and challenge Islam Makhachev and win. Yeah, I know. That's quite the prediction to make just because he's riding off a lot of hype. But dude, this guy is one of the most complete fighters I've ever seen. His boxing is unreal. He's good at defending kicks too. He has never ever attempted a head kick or a body kick. It's only a leg kick. He just relies so heavily on his heavy hands. Dude, he knocks everybody out. And when I saw that he was trying to fight Charles Oliveira, not gonna lie, I pooped a little bit. I don't want to see that fight because I love Charles Oliveira. And if Charles Oliveira gets chinned, listen, I don't want to be too dramatic, but I would have to get in a car accident, 100%. Listen, I cannot. I'm the biggest Charles Glazer of all time. I know there's a lot of competition out there, but this is my favorite fighter. This is my favorite fighter. And when I heard that Ilia Topuria wanted to fight him, man, I'm not gonna lie, I was sweating. This would be such an entertaining fight, but Charles has obvious holes in his game that Ilya would take advantage of. Ilya is a crisp boxer, and Charles keeps his head right on the line way too much. He doesn't have a lot of head movement, but he's got a great high guard. But, dude, let me tell you, Ilya Topuria would pick him apart, but Charles has him beat in strength, and I think Charles has better jiu-jitsu. Listen, we haven't had to see Ilya's jiu-jitsu too much because he's that good on the feet, but he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He grew up doing Greco-Roman, and he started with jiu-jitsu. He's got that background of a wrestling background, dude. Like, that's what's so dangerous about Ilia Topuria. Charles Oliveira, he has the background of jiu-jitsu as well, and then he's a great Muay Thai guy, but he just gets caught way too much. And Topuria has the power to put anyone to sleep. Anyone. I think he could put anyone in the welterweight division to sleep too. I think he sleeps Bilal Muhammad. Dude, this guy's power is unreal. I don't think we've ever seen power like Topuria. So I'm assuming that he would beat Charles Oliveira. Charles, I love you, but you've got holes. Charles could submit him. He could obviously, I think he could control him on the ground, but Topuria is too dangerous on the feet. So let's just say that fight doesn't happen. Let's say it's a Dustin Poirier versus Topuria, and then Topuria gets to fight for the belt. Uh, Topuria is going to annihilate Dustin Poirier. I think, listen, Poirier is really good on the feet. I think he's one of the best boxers in the UFC, but there are levels to this thing, man. Topuria's boxing is the best ever in the UFC. I think if he were to compete in boxing, he would do really well. He's that good. His footwork, his where he keeps his hands, it's all perfect. He's not going to get caught too often. Like, sure, you can stick him with a jab, but you're not hitting him with a heavy shot. His defense is too good. His offense is insane. If he gets you on that cage, good night, brother. You are going to sleep. So yeah, I think he's gonna. What if he is a little too scared on the feet with Dustin Poirier? I know Dustin Poirier is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but who give him? Who give him that? He's not a black belt, not black belt level. To Poirier's jiu-jitsu, I think he could just take him down and submit him. I think that's what would happen. But let's talk about the money fight, the fight the UFC needs to make right now. Topuria versus Makhachev. Makhachev is one of the most complete fighters we've ever seen in the UFC. His wrestling is ridiculous. His control, ridiculous. Him on the feet, ridiculous. I think he's one of the most complete fighters we've ever seen. And so is Topuria. Topuria versus Makhachev would be infinitely more entertaining than Khabib versus McGregor, in my opinion, because they're just they're better. Listen, hot take, Islam, better legacy, more complete than Khabib ever was. I think Khabib was the best wrestler slash grappler we will ever see, but Islam's close. Not in terms of grappling, but in terms of just how complete he is. He's so good. Um, but Ilya's good too. I think when you watch the fights between Volkanovski and Makhachev, Volk is catching Volk is catching Islam a lot, and he even dropped him. And there is a substantial difference between Volkanovski's power and Illia Topuria's power. He's different, bro. He is different. Topuria, um, he just needs that right hand to land one time. You saw it with Max Holloway, who's never been chinned. That right hand landed one time, and his eyes rolled to the back of his head. It was crazy, and then he landed the most perfect technical left hook I've ever seen. But anyways, Makhachev was getting caught by Volkanovski. Volkanovski's great, great striker. He won one round against Ilya. Really impressive, but he's not powerful. He's not a really powerful guy. He's not a knockout dude. But he was giving it to Makhachev in that first fight, and he didn't get submitted on the ground. He was doing pretty well on the ground. He even had some advantages on the ground where he was on top and doing some ground and pound on Makhachev. But yeah, Makhachev has grown since then, but Ilya, I think he could do it. I don't think he would submit Makhachev at all. I know he said that in an interview before. He said he would be the first to submit him. There is no, no. That would be unreal if he did that, but the path to victory is staying on the feet and knocking him out. Here's how I think Ilya would win. Makhachev, he's always going for takedowns, but Ilya is always so low in his stance that he is ready for a takedown. Like he's always bobbing and weaving, and then he's really heavy on that front. He's really heavy on that front foot. Um, Islam, you don't really see him doing a lot of leg kicks. He's more of a conventional sambo. Like he's got a little bit of a boxing style, and then he's got a lethal head kick. But Topuria is really good at defending body kicks, and then he's always got his guard is elite. Like he's got long arms, he's able to cover so much of his body. But Topuria, I think he has really good takedown defense. Bryce Mitchell got him down. Bryce Mitchell is a little underrated when it comes to the ground game, but I think Topuria is going to defend a couple of Islam's takedowns, and that's the fight. If he can defend a couple takedowns, keep it on the feet, it's over for Islam, bro. He doesn't stand a chance on the feet with Ilya. If Ilya doesn't show fear of the takedown, that's where Makhachev really took advantage of Dustin Poirier. Just the pure fear of that takedown really limited Dustin Poirier. He couldn't open up as much. He couldn't throw everything into his punches just because if Makhachev got one of his legs, he's going on the ground and he's going to control him there for the rest of the round. It's not happening with Ilya, I don't think. I think he's good off his back. He's got that wrestling background. And I think if he gets Islam on the fence if he ever gets him on the fence one time, once, that's all he need, he will unload and knock Islam Makhachev out. If Ilya goes on a 4-fight win streak of Volkanovski, Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier, or Charles Oliveira, and then Islam Makhachev, that is that's the greatest. Like that is the greatest run ever. And I think if he does that, he is in the GOAT conversation. I think if he even wins against Charles next, like that's the greatest run ever. Like a 3-fight win streak of those fighters at the top of their game. The top of their game. They're all in their prime. Max Holloway in his prime. Volkanovski, you could argue maybe just barely past it, but he was still champion and he's a dominant fighter. Charles Oliveira still in his prime. Lost a couple unlucky ones and he's still in his prime. And if he's able to beat Islam Makhachev in his prime, boy, this dude, no one's beating him.